My name is Lisa, and I'm not your typical stay-at-home mom. I may be older, but I've got a sassy spirit and a secret recipe for revenge that's about to simmer into something epic. So let me fill you in on my life. I have a wonderful husband named Mark. He's the kind of guy who's living his dream job in research, and he's so content with it, despite being busy all day. We have 2 adorable kids, a 3-year-old named Max and a 1-year-old bundle of joy called Lily. Life is pretty good for our ordinary family, except for one pesky detail. Every week, without fail, just when I'm trying to wrangle a crying Lily and get dinner on the table, the doorbell rings. Guess who waltzes in? My mother-in-law. Yep, she's as predictable as a sitcom rerun. Fried food again? It's so unhealthy, she'd say, looking at my culinary creations with disdain. It's Max's favorite, I'd respond, trying to keep my cool. That's because you only feed him junk. Look, I've brought a creamy vegetable stew and some minestrone. It's essential for the kids to get used to Western food from an early age. I'd watch her unpack the large containers of her so-called delicacies, which mostly consisted of carrots and cabbage. Every week, she'd bring enough to last for days, and it would make my heart sink. Come on, stop daydreaming. I'll take the food you made home with me. We can't waste food, she'd insist. It was routine for her, just like the previous week when she switched my clam chowder for her own fried chicken. Holding that steaming container, she'd leave without a glance at her own grandkids. Once the front door closed, my son Max turned to me with a pout. Grandma took my fried chicken again. It hurt to see my son's sad face, but I'd reassure him. Don't worry, buddy. There's a little bit of meat left. Just wait a moment. As I heated up the oil again, I felt relieved to see my son's joyful reaction to my words. However, my inner dissatisfaction lingered. My mother-in-law had been overly intrusive since my marriage, but over the last year, it had gotten worse. She'd show up unannounced during dinner prep time, criticize my cooking and parenting, and then take away my food. I grew up in a family that ran a restaurant, and my dad taught me how to cook. I'm confident in my culinary skills, and frankly, I think my food tastes better than my mother-in-law's overly sweet cream stew. It irked me to have my skills negated by her, but I found it challenging to stand up to her with Max in the picture. My husband, Mark, who came home after the kids had gone to sleep, didn't help either. When I'd serve him the cream stew, he'd poke at it, as non-committal as ever. What can I do? It's what Mother brings over. If you don't like it, you tell her. Yeah, I guess, I'd sigh, knowing he was reliable but avoided confrontation when his mom was involved. This pointless conversation went by, and I let out a deep sigh. The only silver lining was that she hadn't suggested moving in. One day, tired of the same old routine, my mother-in-law dropped a bombshell when she visited during dinner prep. Emily, this Christmas, everyone's gathering at our place. I raised an eyebrow, my lack of enthusiasm apparent. What? After your husband passed away last year, we couldn't do much. We've been relying on relatives from your side since the funeral. So, I'm inviting them to our home as a way of saying thank you. Sounds exhausting, I replied, struggling to hide my annoyance. Emily, you're not just a bystander here. You'll be helping too, she said. My jaw nearly hit the floor. What? Come over on the 24th and help clean up. You can use a baby carrier or something for Lily. But you're also in charge of the full-course Christmas meal. Don't you dare repackage store-bought food or cook anything that tastes bad. I don't want to be embarrassed. I couldn't believe it. You can't be serious. I'm thinking of inviting your husband's relatives on one day and my sister's family and our daughter on another. It'll be a busy holiday, she continued, her arrogance showing. Though she was complaining, I could sense a happy aura radiating from her. I sighed and said, okay, fine, just for this year. Mark chimed in, thanks, Emily. I can't wait for your Christmas feast. You're in high spirits, I teased, bracing myself for the challenge. When I informed my mother-in-law that Mark would stay over to help with cleaning, she made a displeased face and said, how could you let the man of the house do such things? But she seemed reasonably satisfied seeing Mark bustling around at his parents' home for my sake. Christmas lunchtime arrived, and I was busy preparing the full-course Christmas meal. It was hard work, but seeing everyone enjoy my cooking made it worth it. However, that good feeling didn't last long. Every time someone tried to compliment my cooking, my mother-in-law interrupted, and something felt off. Sophia, Mark's father's sister commented, "This creature looks so beautiful. It's like something you'd buy." "Thank you," I replied, but I couldn't help feeling that something was amiss. Sophie continued, "Did Olivia make this entire Christmas feast? That's amazing." My confusion was evident, and I let out a dumbfounded sound. Sophie continued, "I haven't cooked a full-course Christmas meal in ages. I was going to leave it to my daughter-in-law, but she's absolutely terrible in the kitchen, and she never comes by even when I offer to teach her." As I stood there, astonished, she mouthed, "Go along with it." Apparently, my mother-in-law had been claiming all my dishes as her own and sharing them with the family. Now she wanted me to be complicit in her lie. I couldn't take it anymore, especially after she's been taking the credit for my cooking. I'm not going to lie. Sophie tried to calm the situation, but it was too late. My mother-in-law's lies were exposed by Mark and the rest of the family. The truth was evident to all. Sophia, surprised, admitted, "Yes, it was delicious. I made that too." My mother-in-law had nothing left but to panic. Mark sighed as if he'd had enough, saying, "You can't even say sorry. That's awful." Mark's relatives dispersed, leaving a soulless mother-in-law and some bland food. The next day, Mark's sister and her husband, as well as my sister, visited as promised. Seeing the bland food, they chuckled and commented, "Figures." Apparently, my mother-in-law's lack of cooking skills was well known among her relatives, and they had been well aware of her boasting. As they teased her, I received a phone call. It was my mother-in-law, her voice dripping with anger. "Where are you? It's dinner time. Do your duty as a wife." I couldn't help but feel a sense of satisfaction as I replied, "Sorry, but I'm not making the same mistake of coming over again." She was furious, but I had reached my limit. "You know what? You're the one who will be left out by the family. Right now, Mark is the only one living there, and he'll leave once he's ready. We've decided to physically distance ourselves from my overbearing mother-in-law. Her constant intrusions and lies have pushed me to the limit. The time for revenge is simmering, and I have a secret recipe to serve up." The decision to physically distance ourselves from my mother-in-law wasn't easy, but it was necessary. It had become clear that her constant intrusions, lies, and attempts to take credit for my cooking were pushing me to the brink. This new distance would give me some much-needed space and time to craft the perfect recipe for revenge. With Mark fully supportive of the decision, he had taken the initiative to find a new place for us to live, closer to my parents' house. It made more sense, considering his workplace was conveniently located nearby, and it was time for a change. As we prepared for the move, I couldn't help but feel a sense of liberation. No more unexpected visits during dinner prep, no more criticism of my cooking, and no more attempts to steal my culinary spotlight. It was time to reclaim what was rightfully mine. The weeks leading up to our move were filled with excitement and anticipation. Mark and I were building a new life for our family, one where we wouldn't be constantly under the watchful eye of my mother-in-law. We knew it was the right decision for our peace of mind and the well-being of our kids. However, the situation with my mother-in-law wasn't completely resolved. She continued to call, demanding that I come back to help her save face with her relatives. But I had had enough of her manipulation and refused to play along. It was time for her to learn that she couldn't control me any longer. In the midst of our preparations for the move, the day arrived when we finally left my mother-in-law's influence behind. It was bittersweet, as it marked the end of an era, but it also promised a fresh start for our family. Settling into our new home was a refreshing experience. We established a sense of independence and freedom that we hadn't felt in years. Mark's support and understanding were unwavering, and I knew I had made the right decision. With the holiday season approaching, I couldn't help but think about the upcoming Christmas feast. The memory of my mother-in-law's attempt to take credit for my cooking still irked me. I was determined to make this year's celebration one to remember, not only for our new beginning but also as an opportunity to showcase my culinary talents to my own family. As I planned the Christmas menu, I focused on creating a feast that would be the talk of the town. I experimented with new recipes and put my heart and soul into every dish. It was time to prove to myself and my family that I was not just a capable cook but an exceptional one. The day of the Christmas feast arrived, and our new home was filled with the warm aroma of cooking that wafted through every corner. The table was set with an array of mouth-watering dishes, each prepared with love and dedication. I had even included some of the traditional favorites that Mark and the kids had grown to love. As our family and friends gathered around the table, I couldn't help but feel a sense of satisfaction and pride. The compliments and praises poured in, not just for the delicious food, but also for the effort and passion I had put into every dish. It was a far cry from the Christmases of the past, where my mother-in-law had tried to steal the spotlight. The joy and laughter that filled our home that day were a testament to the new beginning we had embraced. Our Christmas feast was not only a celebration of the holiday season, but also a symbol of our independence and our ability to stand up to my mother-in-law's manipulation. As I looked around at the happy faces of my family, I couldn't help but feel that my revenge had been served, not through deceit or cunning, but through the genuine love and warmth that filled our home. This was a Christmas to remember, one where I had taken control of my own narrative and proved that I was more than capable of creating a beautiful and memorable feast. The journey to this point had been challenging, but it had also been empowering. My sassy spirit had finally found its voice, and I was ready to face any obstacle that came our way. Our new life had begun, and it was filled with the promise of happiness, love, and the freedom to be ourselves. In the months that followed, life in our new home continued to be a breath of fresh air. Our daily routine was now free from the unannounced visits, unsolicited advice, and food heists that my mother-in-law had brought into our lives. It was a peaceful and harmonious environment, and the sense of independence we enjoyed was invigorating. Our new surroundings allowed me to focus on my passion for cooking. I spent hours experimenting with recipes, exploring new cuisines, and perfecting my culinary skills. Mark and the kids were my enthusiastic taste testers, always eager to provide their honest feedback. I also began documenting my cooking adventures on a personal blog. It was a creative outlet for me to share my love for food and cooking with a wider audience. As my blog gained followers and popularity, it was incredibly rewarding to receive positive comments and encouragement from people who appreciated my culinary journey. The holiday season approached once again, and it was time to plan another memorable Christmas feast. This time, I had a newfound confidence and a desire to create a celebration that would be talked about for years to come. I poured my heart and soul into crafting a menu that blended tradition with innovation. I wanted to pay homage to the classics that had brought our family together, while adding my own unique twist to each dish. The excitement in the air was palpable, and our family couldn't wait to gather around the table for another unforgettable Christmas meal. As the day of the feast arrived, our home was filled with the delightful aroma of roasting meats, freshly baked bread, and the scent of spices and herbs. The table was set with care, adorned with festive decorations, and a beautifully designed menu that highlighted each dish's story and inspiration. When our family and friends joined us for the celebration, their eyes widened at the sight of the culinary creations before them. The atmosphere was buzzing with anticipation, and I couldn't help but feel a sense of pride and accomplishment. As we enjoyed the meal, the compliments and praises were even more abundant than the previous year. The love and dedication I had put into each dish shone through, and it was evident to all that this was not just about the food. It was a celebration of family, love, and the freedom to be ourselves. The Christmas feast had become a tradition in our new home, a symbol of our ability to create our own happiness and celebrate our individuality. It was a reminder that we could overcome challenges, embrace change, and come out stronger on the other side. Our family's laughter, joy, and love filled the room, and it was a testament to the power of resilience and the pursuit of happiness. The holidays had transformed from a source of stress and frustration into a time of genuine celebration and connection. As our family continued to grow and evolve, I couldn't help but feel grateful for the journey that had brought us to this point. The lessons we had learned, the challenges we had overcome, and the love that bound us together were all part of our unique story.